what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
They were set up so quickly because of COVID that a lot of the guardrails did not get created. Democrat Congresswoman and jihadi Ilhan Omar of the Al-Shabaab terrorist group, funneling billions and billions of our dollars from Minnesota. You might just make it after all. Got married Tyler Moore. Now we have Al-Shabaab has taken over. A very happy Monday to you, and welcome back once again. We are at 888-630-9625. Ilhan Omar of Somalia making some pretty outrageous claims over the weekend. Oh, the only reason there's all this fraud is because the FBI didn't stop us. Law enforcement didn't stop us before we committed our crimes. Therefore, she blames the FBI. I got a pre-dawn raid with a network camera crew across the street, battering rams, dogs. I was going to say shoot her dog, but she doesn't own a dog because that's an Islamist thing. No dogs as pets. Are you kidding me? That's food. Get out of here. So we've got a bunch of stuff to get to on that front, and welcome back. Hope you had a great American weekend. 888-630-9625. There are some audio sound bites that I want to share with you, and just keeping in mind because I was gathering stuff yesterday in particular before going to the Kennedy Center honors last night at the Kennedy Center, but that's not important right now. Enough about me. The Democrat Party, one of their heroes is going to be in court today. A lot of their heroes they end up in court, don't they? Like the Subway sandwich guy, where we learned today, who was it? CBS News learned the guy who threw the sandwich at the federal law enforcement officer and pelted him with it, and then the D.C. jury let him go. Said, that's nothing. You can assault cops all you want. We're a D.C. jury. Keep assaulting federal law enforcement. Fire on Fort Sumter. Bring back slavery, as the Democrats like to say. But their boy, Luigi Mangione, is due back in court today, and they love him. They want their daughters to date him. That's a euphemism. I'm using the cleaned up word. Pre-trial hearing for Luigi Mangione to resume today after court releases new evidence in CEO murder case. But he's a hero of the Luigi Mangione. Their heroes are Luigi Mangione, who murdered a father of two and a husband and a CEO because he worked in the health insurance industry, and they must all be killed. And I played audio for you of the college students from coast to coast saying, we've got to, hopefully there will be more Luigi Mangiones, more murderers of CEOs and capitalists, because that's the Democrat Party. They're the party of looters and arson and firebombing the Jews and self-immolation. They're mentally ill. And they're also the party of Kilmore Abrego Garcia. They love Luigi Mangione. They love Kilmore Abrego Garcia, the pregnant wife-beating gang member, human trafficker, hero of the Democrat Party. The Democrat senators from Maryland go have cocktails with him, and El Salvador and so on. Oh, and speaking of which, just entirely in keeping with everything that the Democrats do, get a heap and help into this one. There is a major podcaster in the United States of America, one of the biggest podcasters in the United States. Tim Pool is his name. And Tim Pool was operating out of the state of Maryland, I believe, for years, and he moved to West Virginia because he figured out a couple of things about Maryland. He also used to be a Democrat, if I remember that correctly. He used to be a Democrat and a Democrat podcaster. Now he's not so much. But here's Tim Pool minding his own business. When he gets a call, hey, there's a gunman shooting up your house. And where gunmen should, the Democrats are a terrorist group. They're like Al-Shabaab. They're our own personal Al-Shabaab. And the U.S. Sun, the newspaper, has the headline, Shock Attack. Gunman opens fire at home of right-wing podcaster Tim Pool, days after Charlie Kirk assassination comments. In unrelated news, but okay. After speaking out about Charlie Kirk's assassination, a podcaster has been targeted by a gunman. You know how they are, the Democrats, and pretty amazing stuff. In fact, we've got another Democrat today who's calling. She's a podcaster too. She's a former TV. She was on one of those, Real Housewives shows, one of those things. And she's attacking Charlie Kirk and the widow Kirk. But isn't this amazing? And all that's fine. And also shooting up the Tim Pool's house isn't in the Washington Post. The CNN's not reporting it. The New York Times is not looking into it. 60 Minutes will not be doing a story on it. A gunman has opened fire the home of right-wing podcaster and commentator Tim Pool. It comes just days after he spoke out about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and conspiracies about Turning Point USA. And they just, look, he gets to say what he wants. I've never listened to a minute of his podcast, but I'm sure he's perfectly fine and all that good stuff. But honestly, the Democrats they're violent. They shot Donald Trump. They shot Congressman Steve Scalise. They tried to shoot Donald Trump again. They shoot police officers. They throw sandwiches and say, "What? That's nothing. How are you going to hurt somebody with a sandwich?" Missing the point entirely. Isn't that amazing? I've got they're the pro-illegal alien party and all that good stuff. Now let's go to 21 before we get back to the news of the day. Soundbite number 21 is a podcast woman named Jennifer Welsh. And she hates Erica Kirk. Erica Kirk is the widow of Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated by a Democrat using a rifle, like the Democrat using a rifle that shot Donald Trump through the air, like the Democrat using the rifle that shot Congressman Steve Scalise and wanted to kill the whole Republican baseball team on the baseball field. Never mind that. But here is this. She's a liberal Democrat. Her name is Jennifer Welsh, and she's a big hero of the left-wing media just in the last couple of weeks. She's been all over because they love this. They really miss the first American Civil War. Here is podcast B-word Jennifer Welch on the assassination of Charlie Kirk and on the widow, Erica Kirk.
She is a grifter, and just look at the costume changes. Look at the costume changes. Look at the affect and how she does that. It's wild. This woman should be kicked to the curb. She is an absolute grifter, just like Donald Trump and just like her unrepentant, racist, homophobic husband was.
All right. Let's go. Let's start making fun of Tammy Duckworth's legs getting blown off. What do you think? Is that because this is where these people drag the conversation? The filthies. They're just filthy people. All right. Now, with that, I wanted to get that in, and I'm glad I did it. I want to get the Tim Pool story in for his home being shot up by the Democrat Party, which is a violent criminal enterprise, a terrorist group. Isn't that amazing? Jennifer Welch on Erica Kirk. She's a grifter. Just look at the costume changes. Maybe you should consider a costume change and plastic surgery and implants or something. This woman should be kicked to the curb. She's an absolute grifter, just like Donald Trump. Trump derangement syndrome spills out of her like stupid. You know, the way that stupid spills out of her. Just like her unrepentant, racist, homophobic husband was. Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. That's, man. These are the mainstream Democrat media figures. They're not on the side of civilization. Civil discourse is out completely. Aren't they amazing? Let's get back to the idiot Ilhan Omar. It was funny. We got a short one where she's talking about the Department of Egg, and all we can try to figure out is that the idiot jihadi from Somalia. We should write a song about that. The idiot jihadi from Somalia. She's billions stolen by Somali criminals in Minnesota alone because COVID money and the idiot Ilhan Omar, said, well, of course, what do you expect? The FBI wasn't watching us closely enough. Naturally, we stole billions of taxpayer dollars and sent the money to a radical Islamic jihadi group called Al-Shabaab. No problem. And then somehow she's talking, she thinks we have a Department of Egg. And I guess, best as we can figure, she's trying to say the Department of Agriculture. And maybe in the hallway walking around on Capitol Hill, you might refer to the Department of Agriculture as Ag. Or the committees as the Ag Committee. But she can't pronounce the words. She doesn't know what they mean. And she says she's sent a harsh letter to the Department of Egg.
I was one of the first members of Congress to send a letter to the Secretary of Egg.
The Secretary of Egg? I don't know. How many? Do they have their own building, the Department of Egg? Are they the ones that killed all the chickens under Joe Biden in the Department of Egg? Because that's... And she didn't just say it once. She said it twice, the Department of Egg, like a chicken egg. And this somehow works for her and for the idiot fake anchor woman, Margaret Brennan, at CBS on Face the Nation yesterday.
That is what I alluded to in my letter that I've sent to the Secretary of Egg.
Said Department of Egg, the Secretary of Egg. I didn't know. Do we have a Secretary of Bacon? We have a... Secretary of Toast. I got to say, this is just amazing. So in any case, she was supposed to be there, but Margaret Brennan is a fluffer and not a journalist. Margaret Brennan was the fake anchor on Face the Nation yesterday. And she decided it was a good time to attack Republicans because Republicans had pointed out that the jihadis of Somalia that have stolen Fox News said perhaps up to $8 billion taxpayer dollars. 87 people have been arrested and charged. 79 of them are Somali. It has been discovered that money is being sent to Somalia by the billions, dollars by the billions, and that a lot of it is going to Al-Shabaab, the radical Islamic terrorist organization. And a couple of Republicans have actually said that out loud, but Margaret Brennan and the fake producers at CBS's Face the Nation don't say, hey, let's look into this theft of $8 billion tax dollars by Somalis in Minnesota. They don't say that. What they say is, damn Republicans brought it up.
House Republicans and the Treasury Secretary just now talked about a link to terrorism, a possible link. He said they're just now beginning to look into it. How confident are you that that's a false claim?
Here's the question. How confident are you that that's a false claim? So the rebuttal presumption is that it's a false claim because Republicans said it. And never mind the fact that out of 87 arrests, 79 are of Somalis, and that billions of dollars have gone missing, and even the Biden administration was aware of it way back when. Isn't that amazing?
I'm pretty confident at the moment because there are people who have been prosecuted and who have been sentenced. If there was a linkage in that the money that they had stolen going to terrorism, then that is a failure of the FBI and our court system in not figuring that out and basically charging them with these charges.
Basically charging them with these charges. Very well said, Tardo. Man, so it's the FBI's fault that the FBI didn't stop them before the crime was committed, and that she's a member of the House of Representatives in the United States of America. We are a third world beephole country when the Democrats are in charge. They are the third world. She is the third world. She is a jihadi. Man, oh, Manischewitz. You know, this Christmas, as we all celebrate life, you have an opportunity to share that same gift with a mother in need and her baby, her struggling little baby, helpless little baby. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy and entirely unsure what to do about it. She's searching for hope, looking for guidance, and that's where preborn ministries come in. There's a story of a young woman who was unmarried, and she found out about her pregnancy, and And when the angel Gabriel announced that she would conceive by the Holy Spirit, it was kind of a shocking moment, as you might imagine. Every mother preborn serves faces a moment of decision when she sees her baby on an ultrasound. In that moment, provided by preborn, free of charge to her, she has the opportunity to say yes to life. Preborn's mission is to help her to find the courage and support that she needs to make the right decision. This Christmas, for just $28, you can help save a human life. And thanks to a special matching grant through the end of the year, your gift will be doubled by generous Americans. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250, and when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, the keyword is baby, or go to Al Gore's Amazing Internet to preborn.com/plant. preborn.com/PLANTE. Thank you in advance. Isn't that great? All right, we've got you on the line, and I've got more CBS News and Ilhan Omar and who's she calling a Nazi today? Yeah, I went to the Kennedy Center Honors last night. I may have time to talk about that today. In the meantime, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Barry, calling from Frederick, Maryland. Oh, Barry, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of the Department of Egg. It was started by Hunter Biden and Hillary Clinton. It's the Department of Extreme Government Graft.
The Department of Extreme...
I got to hang up real quick because I'm going through a drive-thru at McDonald's, and I don't want the illegal immigrant to screw my order up. Have a great day, buddy.
Good point. That's a good point. See, he knows the world he lives in, isn't that great? Now, what was it? The Department of Extreme Government Graft. So it's not just the Department of EG. It's Extreme Government Graft. It's EGG, which would be a correct spelling. Now, I was just getting texted. Does Ilhan Omar also mispronounce the name of the state, Minnesota, because she can't pronounce the name of the state that she lives in, the state that saved her life and, kept her sun-bleached bones from being crawled over by black scorpions in the wind-blown desert sands? She still can't even pronounce the name of the state that she's lived in all these. It's, how many billions of dollars do you have to steal before you can properly pronounce the name of the state that you live in? And she is, Ilhan Omar, she's pro-graft, pro-theft, pro-crime, pro-biggest scam of welfare, apparently in the history of the United States of America. The Somalis in Minnesota stealing, hand over fist, billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars. More on that coming up. Yeah, I love the dimwits at CNN, not a news organization. They've chosen their hero of the year. First of all, why do they give out a hero of the year thing? They've got their hero of the year plaque. And they give the award to people, and they've got they're very excited to announce, actually on Saturday, that their hero of the year has been named. Who do you think they named? Who do they named? Jasmine, who is CNN's hero of the year? Who did they name? It's you? Jasmine thinks it might be her. It should be you, I think. I don't know. I thought maybe Charlie Kirk would be hero of the year. Maybe Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk. But instead, I think they looked at his assassin as a possible winner. Maybe the National Guard. Maybe, how sometimes they do it like a group of people, a category of people. Tall blonde women, something like that, hero of the year. But National Guard, maybe the National Guard, the police. But they're more likely to name Luigi Mangione, who assassinated the CEO in New York. How about in New York? How about Elon Musk with the Department of Government Efficiency and saving the American taxpayer so much and giving young people opportunities to come to Washington and be beaten to a bloody pulp on the streets of Washington while the Democrats shrug and say, so what? They'll beat him to death. But they've named their hero of the year. Who could it be? Well, Honestly, Luigi Mangione would be completely unsurprising, and who else do they love that shot people? They get all kinds of people that shoot people. Here's the CNN headline: Quillen Blackwell. Quillen, that's right, Quillen Blackwell, whose nonprofit Farm to Vase flower shop employs at-risk youth, that means the children of Democrats, is CNN's Hero of the Year. CNN's Hero of the Year. He's the Hero of the Year. Now listen to this. Quillen Blackwell, whose nonprofit, he has a nonprofit, but I'm sure he makes a good living off of it, whose nonprofit transforms vacant lots on Chicago's South Side into flower farms. Sure, flower farms that employ at-risk young people. They're at risk. Why are they at risk? Because Democrats run the city and the educational system and the school system, and they made the school system guy the mayor, and he thinks, mass murder is, what did he call it? A one-off? But here we go. So Quillen Black, I'm sure it sounds like a perfectly nice program, employs at-risk people to grow, arrange, and sell the flowers, is 2025's Hero of the Year. He's the Hero of the Year. Now, what a massive impact he's had on humanity. Online voters selected him from this year's top 5 CNN heroes, everyday people, who are recognized for taking action to solve problems in their communities. They like to say that everything's in a community, right? Isn't that amazing? So they chose this guy, and I'm sure that what he does is just fine. And it hasn't moved the needle an iota on anything. Just completely ridiculous. Yes, sir. They've got their Hero of the Year. And I don't think that guy's the Hero of the Year. You got a clip of him? Because he's the Hero of the Year, so they invited him to come on CNN? Wow. Well, Quillen Blackwell is CNN's Hero of the Year.
It's like a big win for the hood. I love the hood. I love it so much. We get a bad rap, but we're going to shine the path forward for the country. There's a lot of amazing things going on in the inner cities.
Yeah, it's really, I love the hood, and it's get a bad rap because of all the murders and the shootings and the crimes and the fatal drug overdoses, but pay no attention to that. Isn't that great? The Democrat Party, these are their heroes. Isn't that great? Just wonderful. They're not on our side. Quillen Blackwell using flowers to empower at-risk youth. I don't see any evidence that any at-risk youth have been empowered by flowers. But okay. They also wanted their other candidates, Heidi Carmen, easing stress for first responders. CNN hates first responders. Hillary Cohen, rescuing gourmet meals to feed LA's hungry. Well, she's rescuing gourmet meals because what in these Democrat cities, people are hungry all over the place. Deborah D. Vignes, Vignes, I'm going to pronounce that carefully, transforming lives behind bars. She works with the penitentiary folk. Unclear if they're dating. Tim Woodward, offering a lifeline to abused animals. These are their heroes of the year. These are the candidates for Hero of the Year. Those are the 5 top heroes of the year. But they gave it to the flower guy because, flower. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. All right, now CNN. What are they? What business are they in? What are they doing? Well, we've been talking about Ilhan Omar, and she was on CBS and Face the Nation and all that stuff. And Margaret Brennan is the fake anchor, and Ilhan Omar is talking about sending a letter to the Department of Egg. And that was pretty ridiculous. And Margaret Brennan, the anchor woman, didn't know. what to make, and he doesn't want to correct her. She's a black woman. She's a WOC, a woman of color. But now, let me go to the next thing that got the ball rolling here, because Stephen Miller, Deputy White House Chief of Staff, who is great at articulating very forcefully the truth and the BS that the Democrats peddle. Last week, I think it was on Friday, Stephen Miller, in a video posted, Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff, conservative, and he speaks well, and he's ferocious, and he's great. So he's talking about the Somalis in Minnesota stealing billions and billions, perhaps, of dollars. We're looking at possibly $8 billion as of now, stolen taxpayer dollars by Somalis in Minnesota, who are sending huge quantities, not all of it, but lots of it going back to Somalia. You know, throw $8 billion out all at once, it'd destroy everything in that beep hole country. But here's Stephen Miller last week talking about the theft of billions of U.S. tax dollars by Somalis in Minnesota and sending back to Somalia to fund a radical Islamic group called Al-Shabaab. And also they're just stealing the rest to steal because they're criminals. And Ilhan Omar is fine with that. Stephen Miller wanted to talk about the theft last week.
Based on what we have found so far, we believe that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history. We believe that we have only scratched the very top of the surface of how deep this goes.
Wow. Billions and billions of dollars, welfare fraud, and that is maybe the biggest in U.S. history. The Democrats are trying hard because they're not on our side. And Stephen Miller said, you know, listen, we should be paying attention to this. It's kind of a big deal. Biggest welfare theft in the history of the country. And Ilhan Omar is shrugging and said, well, the FBI didn't stop us. It's their fault. What do you want? Stephen Miller having none of that.
Pretending that children have autism who are not, in fact, autistic, with pretending to enroll people in food programs when, in fact, nobody was ever enrolled, and engaging in massive fraud, lying, and theft and grift on a scale we've never seen before in American history. The total bill, the total tab for this is going to be far beyond the numbers we've already seen reported.
And again, we're hearing as much as $8 billion, and a lot of it going to Somalia, and it's for poor children in Minnesota. But the Somali immigrants are stealing money by the billions of dollars, sending money to Al-Shabaab, which is not a delicious lunch. And Al-Shabaab is a terrorist group, a radical Islamic terrorist group, but pay no attention to that. Stephen Miller.
We believe the state government is fully complicit in this scheme, and we believe that what we are going to uncover is going to shock the American people. Look, based on the records that we already have, and this is a significant undercount, by the way, 75% of the Somali population in Minnesota is on welfare. But that's likely a significant undercount of just how much of a financial burden the Somali refugee population is imposing.
And what we're going to uncover. So it's not this whole thing, you know, and the news media has moved on. Well, they didn't stop here in the first place, but they don't cover the news. They cover it up. And this is pretty remarkable stuff, I've got to say. And with that, now he just laid 75% of Somalis are on welfare. And I had numbers, I read them last week on all the Somalis in Minnesota and all the different social welfare programs they're on, and, you know, suckling on the taxpayer teats and not being, you know, self-starters and motivated individuals, right? But now we go back. We're going to go to soundbite number 6. Soundbite number 6, going backward on our cut sheet, because Margaret Brennan on CBS Face the Nation yesterday, not a journalist by any stretch, with Ilhan Omar, said, well, what about this terrible, awful Stephen Miller? He's a Jew, and he said Somalis are stealing that, and maybe the biggest welfare theft in the history of the United States, billions of dollars. We're just scratching the surface. We're going to learn more later. And Margaret Brennan, with her ally, she's in cahoots with Ilhan Omar.
I want to ask you about something else that the architect of the president's immigration policy, Stephen Miller, said. No magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands. What do you make of this argument of failure to assimilate and sort of ruining America? How do you understand this?
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany.
And then she firebombed the Jews. That is, it reminds you of the way the Nazis described the Jews. He's talking about a specific scam set up by Somalis. 79 Somalis have been arrested, and only 8 non-Somalis have been arrested in this scam. But Margaret Brennan, the so-called journalist who's supposed to be doing an interview here, she just nods in agreement and says, yeah, that's Nazis. And she is the genocidal Jew killer, the Jew hater, not Margaret Brennan, although she's not much for journalism. Isn't that amazing?
It reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany.
That's what it does. It reminds her, with her tiny little broken, demented child brain, of the way the Nazis described Jews. Oh, tell me about that, because she doesn't know the first thing about that. This is the third worlding of the United States Congress by the Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? Stephen Miller calls billion-dollar Minnesota welfare scam the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars, with dozens of Somali migrants convicted. The welfare fraud scam engulfing Minnesota's Somali community, and the Democrats write to the governor because they've been hearing about it for years now, and they haven't lifted a finger to do anything about it and save billions of taxpayer dollars because they're leftists, and they're groveling and sniveling to any terror group that comes along, hell-bent on wiping out the United States of America. That really, membership in the Democrat Party is a mental illness. Welfare fraud scam engulfing Minnesota's Somali community is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller said. And how did the idiot at CBS describe his job description? The immigration policy or something? Which he's not the head of immigration policy or something like that.
I want to ask you about something else that the architect of the president's immigration policy, Stephen Miller, said.
Right. He's the deputy chief of staff of the White House. The vilification, the demonization, the Democrat Party. Aren't they something? I got an idea. But at least they're growing flowers on the south side. I got an idea. Stop shooting people. Rather than flowers, maybe body armor for children would be more appropriate. Yeah, the hood gets a bad rap. What with 600 million murders a year, but never mind that. These people. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here, and the third generation builds on the incredible success of the previous 2 generations, which had already earned thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. This new thunderstorm uses 2 technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air that you and your family breathe. It also removes dust and pet dander and smoke and a whole lot more from the air that you all breathe, and it gets rid of any stinky odor. Lickety-split with no filters to have to replace all the time. The thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Talking about odors from litter boxes and trash cans, cigarette smoke, liberals, musty basements. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, because we hang out together, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. So you can put one in your basement, your teenager's room, your family room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. Just go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com, and use the discount code Chris3. That's me, CHRIS, and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 thunderstorms. Christmas is coming. They make great gifts, and it's a little bit of a hint, maybe. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris3. Yes, sir. Womp, womp, womp. All right, we've got more. We've got the economy and Somali fraud and the Kennedy Center last night where I was. We've got lots of great stuff still coming up. 888-630-9625. All right, and once again to the telephones, Mr. Michael. Let's go to Mark, calling from the land of Lincoln, from the great state of Illinois in America's heartland. Mark, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris. Anyway, there's only one question I would love to ask Ilhan Omar.
Uh-huh.
Do you support the Constitution of the United States or the Quran?
And should there be a conflict between the Constitution and the Quran, then which would be prioritized?
Exactly. Well, yeah, if she'd hesitate, then why is she in Congress?
She's a Democrat.
Yeah, that's true.
It really answers that. It answers so many different questions. But what's she doing in Congress? Well, the Democrat Party is here to undermine the United States of America, to undermine all of our customs, our practices, our principles, our customs, our traditions. And it's not just the United States. It's also Western civilization that the Democrat Party, because they're the left, they're not liberals. You know, these are not even Bill Clinton liberals. This is the hard left, and they're here to destroy the world and kill everyone in it after they enslave as many as possible.
I agree.
Yeah, nothing I got wrong there, right, Mark?
You're on 100%, sir.
Yeah. What is up with that? What happened to them, Mark? You're in Illinois. That's another Democrat state.
Instead of calling it land of Lincoln, Chris, you need to call it land of leaving.
Yeah, honestly. And, hundreds of thousands have left. But they're going to hold on to the congressional districts anyway, even though the population is down. And what they've done to the congressional map in California is positively third world as well. The Democrat Party. Mark, thanks for bringing it up. They're not on our side.